afternoon from the kitchen, folks. It's been a while since I made a loaf of bread, so I thought I'd try something experimental. I keep reading online about bread which has been made in the slow cooker. I thought that sounds crazy, therefore I want to try it. So I'm going to today have a go at making a loaf of milk bread, but done so in my slow cooker. Today's recipe comes from ChatGPT, and I simply asked it for a recipe for making milk bread in my slow cooker. Let's have a look at those key ingredients. So it's bread, so the start of the show is 500 grams of bread flour. I've got bread yeast and I'll be using about 10 grams of that. I've got 45 grams of granulated sugar, 7 grams of salt, 1 large egg. I've got 40 grams of unsalted butter, 170 ml of milk, which I will be warming very shortly, and 40 ml of water. I may additionally brush the loaf with a bit more milk, but we'll see how it turns out in the end. I'm quite looking forward to doing this. It's a different kind of recipe for me. Before I go any further though, I will apologise for light and shadow issues. I'm in a south-facing kitchen and the sun can be a bit of a nightmare, meaning that sometimes I'm going to look like this, or this, or this. I'm sure we can cope though, so let's crack on. So first things first, I want to get my dry ingredients into my mixing bowl. Right, I want to get my dry ingredients in here, so here goes the flour, the 500 grams of flour. On top of that, I'm going to add my 45 grams of granulated sugar, and in fact I'm not going to add all of that sugar. I'm going to keep aside a right little bit, that bit there, I'm going to keep aside for something else. I'm going to put my salt on top of this. And that's that, and I'm just going to use this wooden fork to mix these together, just so that they are evenly distributed in the bowl. Next up, I'm going to take my 170 ml of cold milk, and I am going to add the rest of the sugar to that milk. And I'm going to put my milk in the microwave for about 20 seconds, just to take the chill off it. Perfect. Back into the kitchen. So my milk, I'm just going to give a little stir. Get that sugar to dissolve in there. Finger test. Yeah, that's warm, it's not hot, that's perfect. 1 teaspoon of yeast and 2 teaspoonfuls of yeast in there. Go on, let's just shove another half in for good luck. And then I'm going to stir this around, and I want this to develop a krausen, a foamy top, before doing anything else with it. That might take 5 minutes, so I'll come back to it then. Right, back to the up angle. Time to get cracking. Don't ask me why, but I always crack eggs into glasses before using them. It just presents more control to me, and I can fish out any bits of shell if there's any in there. So my egg is now going to go into the dry mixture. Alongside that, I'm going to add my water. And I'm also going to add the butter into there. Right, I've got my whisk and I'm going to put it on the lowest setting, number 1. So it's going down nice and steadily. And I'm going to get this now and mix it together, and you can see that it is a little bit messy, but let's persevere. Right, I've been doing this for about 4 minutes now, and I think it's well mixed together, and it's now time to start to add the milk with the sugar and yeast in. Gently. I've got a slight krausen beginning to form, that's enough at this stage. So a little bit at a time it goes in. This is going to take a little while. I'm going to come back to you in a minute. Right, I think I'm just about there with this now. So I'm going to turn the mixer off. And I want to get everything out of the mixer. So I'll just pick all these bits out and then I'll come back to you. It feels quite nice though, I must admit. So that's pretty well stuck together. I'm going to get that out in a minute, but before I do so, I just want to add a bit more flour onto here. To make a nice floured surface. And then I'm going to get my mixture, my dough ball, as it will become. And I'm going to get that on here. And what I've got to do now is basically bash this around and knead it for about 10 minutes. This is the labour intensive bit. This is the bit where you've got to put a bit of effort in. It's worthwhile doing though. There's not much for me to really show you other than the fact that I'm kneading it. So I'm going to stick a podcast on and I shall come back to you in about 10 minutes time. Don't be afraid to give it a good pummeling, it helps. If you don't believe me, check out Jürgen the Bread, as in Great British Bake Off. This is how he does it. Well, sort of. Right, this has had a proper workout, as have my arms, but I think it's ready for the first rest and rise. Right, that is not bad at all. I'm quite happy with that. I'll just get it into a sort of nice ball shape. That'll do. Right, here is the mixing bowl I originally used. What I'm going to do is just put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. And I'm just going to swish that around the edge a little bit because I don't want it to stick onto the bowl. I'm going to put my dough ball in the bottom of the bowl, just there, all nice. So sorry about the light and shadow, it's as I mentioned earlier, but what I've got now is a clean tea towel and I'm just going to wet it a little bit, using a bit of warm water. Right, and what I'm going to do now is thoroughly wring it out, so it is no longer wet, it's merely damp. There's some exertion today. Right, doesn't hurt, does it? Okay, back to the bowl. And what I'm going to do is cover the bowl with this tea towel, like so. And then we'll have a change of room, because we're going to head into the conservatory, which you can see is currently baked in sunshine. So it's nice and warm in here. And what I'm going to do is put my bowl with my dough ball just there. So let's have one more peek. So that's what it looks like currently. Let's see what it's like in an hour. Right, I've got some tidying to do and I've got a lecture to finish writing. It's a busy day today. So I'll come back to you in about an hour's time. See you then. Right, it's been an hour. Let's have a look. I'm quite excited about this. Oh yes, it's definitely grown. It's not grown massive, but it has grown. So back into the kitchen we go. So here's my slow cooker. Now ChatGPT in the recipe says I need to line this with baking paper. Unfortunately, I haven't got much. I'll just have to do the best I can. So that's how it currently looks. There is going to be some area which is exposed, but let's just see how it works out. So I'm just additionally going to spray a bit of oil onto the baking paper, again so it doesn't stick. Right, so yeah, this feels nice actually. It feels quite elasticy. I'm happy with this. This now needs to go inside the slow cooker. Let's get it into a nice shape first though. So I'm going to put that in the bottom and just press it out. I wanted it to be a little bit smoother in terms of the outside of it and more uniform, but never mind. It'll just have to do. I'm pressing it into the shape of the bottom of the slow cooker, knowing that it's going to rise, hopefully, fingers crossed. Anyway, this is not yet time to bake. This is now time for the second prove. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim some of this and put it around the edge here. I'll be back in a minute. It's got a nice and spongy feel to it, you know. I'm quite happy with that. I wish it didn't have these wrinkles, but never mind. They might sort of sort themselves out. Right, I've got to leave this for another hour now. So what I'm going to do is put the tea towel back on top and do it in a single rather than folded this time. And I'm going to put the lid on. And what I'm hoping now is that the dough will continue to grow inside the slow cooker. It's in there for another hour before I turn the slow cooker on. So I've got to continue to get on with my work. I'll see you in an hour. Right, it's been another hour. Let's have a look. No massive visible difference that I can see. Anyway, it's time for it to go on now. So once again I've draped the tea towel over the top, putting the lid on. Now this now serves another purpose because it's going to release moisture and the tea towel will hold on to that moisture rather than have it drip back onto the bread. So I'm going to put this onto high. I've now got to leave this for a minimum of 90 minutes, an hour and a half, before testing it out and seeing what it's like. And you'll note my change of attire. I told you I had a busy day today. I've now got to go and cut firewood. I'll be doing that for about an hour. So next time you see me, I should be showered, clean and tidy. So I'll see you in about 90 minutes to have a look at the bread. And that's what you call a productive hour with a chopstick. There's no way I'm touching that bread with these hands. Shower time. I'm a bit late, 20 minutes later than what I wanted to be, but anyway, let's have a look at the bread. It smells quite good. So first off, let's get this off, get the steam out. Right, has it risen? Oh, it has. And that feels quite nice, you know. Now, if it bounces back, it's meant to be ready. I'm going to give it another 15 minutes, I think. I want to be exactly sure. Right, moment of truth. Oh, this looks grand. Right, I've got to brown it yet, by the way. This is good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it out, and now I understand what the paper's for, because otherwise how on earth would I get it out? Right, out it comes. Actually, it feels... That's not too heavy actually. It looks bigger than what it feels, so I think that's going to be quite a nice light bread. You know, like a good, what's it called? When it's got a bit of air inside it. Bake Off will tell you. So I need to finish this off in my mini oven just there, so I'm going to switch that on now and pop that on 200 because I want it to brown all over properly, so it just wants 10 minutes in there at 200, but in actual fact the sides look really nice on that. It's not risen massively, but it's risen enough, and it's definitely grown. Yeah, I'm really chuffed about that. And if you're not British, chuffed means really happy, or as I say in Yorkshire, right happy. Ooh, asbestos fingers. So the colour of that on the sides is brilliant. I'm not sure what it's like underneath, let's have a look. Yeah, that's a nice colour underneath too, so it's just the top really. So what I might do is put the oven on top oven only, so I'm not going to then overdo the sides. I'll pop this in now. Right, back in 10 minutes. Right, I've got it out of the oven because it was beginning to burn on top, or getting a little bit darker than what I wanted it to be, but I'll tell you what, I'm really happy with that. I mean, look at it all around. That is a nice looking loaf of bread, and I cannot believe I've made that in a slow cooker. So I'm going to cover this up, leave it to cool, and I'll come back to you tomorrow morning for a quick slice and a tasting. I'll see you then. Morning folks, it's the next day and it's time to try my bread. There it is, it's been overnight in my larder and now I'm ready for breakfast. So just see how it cuts. Nicely, definitely got a firm crust and that has quite a nice texture within. But obviously the proof is in the tasting. So I'll just try a bit on its own to start with. And despite the firm crust to cook, that's really soft. And it's delicious. The egg provides an extra element of richness to it. It's reasonably sweet, but the milkiness comes through. It is really nice. Right, I've got a bit of butter on. Let's try with some butter on. That is lovely. The texture's so nice. It's got a really nice crumb to it. It's not dry at all. It's nice and moist. And it's so much softer than I thought it would be. Even though the outside of it is quite crispy, it just crumbles. It's absolutely delicious. So I'll definitely be making slow cooker bread again. This is what you call a success. So I hope you've enjoyed the film, folks. Thanks for watching, I really do appreciate it. Please comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And I'll catch you on the next film, whatever that may be. See you then, folks. Thank you.